All right, let's end on a high note by talking about the coronavirus, which has now infected more than 90,000 people worldwide and killed 3,000. Here in the U.S., the official count is now 88 cases and 2 deaths, both older Americans with underlying health problems who lived in Washington state, where experts now believe the virus could have spread undetected for 6 weeks. Yikes. The Trump administration's response has been slow and confused at best, with one senior official telling the Washington Post, quote, "It's complete chaos. Everyone is just trying to get a handle on what the fuck is going on." Makes you sleep well. Guys, let's start with the substance of Trump's response before we get to the politics. We remember, of course, when the Obama administration had to deal with the Ebola crisis. Where has the coronavirus response fallen short so far?
Everywhere. Every single place.
Yeah.
I mean, Barack Obama in 2014 led the international Ebola response. They learned a lot. They set up a bunch of infrastructure, including staffing and people in the National Security Council. And, you go down the list. And Trump got rid of it because he's opposed to everything Obama does. On top of that, in times of crisis, being seen as a credible, truthful messenger is very important. And instead of telling the American people hard truths, they have spun it every which way they can, to include putting Mike Pence, a guy who doesn't believe in climate science, who helped spur an HIV outbreak in the state of Indiana because of the crazy position on needle exchanges, who wrote op-eds attacking fucking Mulan in charge of this thing. Like, he is a joke. This response is a joke. And honestly, like, the fact that we don't have a accurate, widespread testing process today means that this virus is probably just all over the place and we have no idea because we can't test for it. So this has been a disaster. This is an incompetent president, an incompetent team. And that press conference Saturday was as chastened as I've ever seen Donald Trump. He clearly, I don't know that he cares about people dying, but I think he cares about getting it himself because he's a selfish prick, and he cares about how bad this could be for him politically.
Well, that seems to be the overriding concern.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think the press conference, I think what captures to me that, the danger of Donald Trump and what's actually happening, you have Donald Trump get in front of the podium and wave around a piece of paper saying, "We're number one, and everything's going to be fine. Don't worry," because he's more worried about the Dow than he is about people. And then one by one, you have Trump fucking cronies get up there and praise Donald Trump, say how good a job he's doing, while then slipping in, what Donald Trump did was buy us time, because they don't want to disagree with Donald Trump in front of everybody, but they want to let everyone know that things are about to get worse. Or you have Fauci and some of the other serious, nonpartisan career experts coming to the podium, not wanting to dispute Donald Trump in front of Donald Trump, not because they're cowards, but because I think these are serious people who want to make sure they're in the position to do the most good, while trying to outline for everyone just how serious this could get, how you need to prepare, how you need to stock up, how this is a moment to be ready for what comes next. All sort of underneath all of those words, a warning that Donald Trump's rosy portrait is simply not accurate.
It's sort of the perfect storm of everything that Donald Trump does poorly as president, right? Like, so there's in preparation for something like this, there was the budget that consistently cut funding from the CDC. There was all of these positions in the government that involved managing pandemics left open in the administration because Donald Trump can't fill a lot of vacancies in his administration. And then there's the response itself. And I think that the anecdote that was most telling that was in that Washington Post piece is when the CDC director went out a couple weeks ago and said, "By the way, this could get very bad, and I just want to prepare all Americans." Donald Trump's response to seeing that was getting enraged and wanting to tell everyone that it's fine, because his overriding goal is to get elected. Donald Trump cares about himself. He does not care about anyone else as much as he cares about himself. And he wants to get reelected, and so he wants the markets to be calm because he thinks that a recession could hurt him. And so if that is his goal and that's his incentive, that is good for his reelection. It is very bad, very, very bad for a response to a global pandemic, because it means that he is not telling people the truth. He is going to not tell people when something is bad because he is too afraid that, his poll numbers are going to go down.
I mean, surfaces do not watch Fox News. Viruses do not watch Fox News. It doesn't matter what rosy portrait Donald Trump paints. The reality of a spreading illness is all that will ultimately matter, which is why it's, yes, obviously Donald Trump only cares about his reelection. He's also an incredibly short-term thinker, right? If he was,
Well, the short-termism really hurts in a crisis as well.
Right. It hurts all of us, and it's this crazy.
Got to get through the news cycle.
Got to get through the news cycle. But so, like, think about what that means. His lack of discipline and his narcissism and his desire to just get to the next day not only means he's like painting a rosy picture that may hurt all of us. It doesn't help him. It doesn't help him. It's only going to make matters worse for him.
And look, Obama dealt with this, right? Because of all people, Donald Trump back then was tweeting up a storm about how Obama has to close all the borders, stuff like that. And, it was a lot of political heat on Obama. And what Obama did is talk to the experts and talk to the scientists. And they said, well, no, closing the borders to stopping all flights to Africa isn't actually going to stop it, because we need to get health workers in there. We need to help people. And that's going to be, and it was the politically difficult thing for Obama to do, but he did it anyway because he knew it would help the crisis. Does anyone believe that Donald Trump will make any decision around this crisis that is politically difficult?
No, he's not a tough news guy. In that press conference, Trump only got animated when he was talking about markets and the Fed and ways to juice the economy, or the economy that is the economy as perceived by rich people who own stocks. But he also had the nerve to chase in the press and chase in Democrats for being alarmist about coronavirus, when that asshole in his Twitter feed in 2014 was like literally patient zero for spreading fear and hysteria about Ebola. He did enormous and very real damage back then.
Yeah, he's still doing it. He's made himself the real victim of this global pandemic. The main message from Trump and his allies has been that the coronavirus is just an excuse for Democrats and the media to take down the president. Here's a clip of Trump at a rally in South Carolina on Friday, and then comments from White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney and Don Jr.
One of my people came up to me and said, Mr. President, they tried to beat you on Russia, Russia, Russia. That didn't work out too well. They couldn't do it. They tried the impeachment hoax. They tried it over and over. They've been doing it since you got in. It's all turning. They lost. It's all turning. Think of it. Think of it. And this is their new hoax.
We took extraordinary steps 4 or 5 weeks ago. Why didn't you hear about it? What was still going on 4 or 5 weeks ago? Impeachment. And that's all the press wanted to talk about. So that while real news was happening, and we were dealing with it in a way that I think you folks would be extraordinarily proud of, and that was serving the nation extraordinarily well, the press was covering their hoax of the day because they thought it would bring down the president. The reason you're saying so much attention to it today is that they think this is going to be what brings down the president.
We've seen this play out for 4 years. Anything that they can use to try to hurt Trump, they will. Anything he does in a positive sense, like you heard from the reporter that was just suspended from ABC, they will not give him credit for. The playbook is old at this point, but for them to try to take a pandemic and seemingly hope that it comes here and kills millions of people so that they could end Donald Trump's streak of winning is a new level of sickness. I don't know if this is coronavirus or Trump derangement syndrome, but these people are infected badly.
I fucking hate that guy. The story of the Trump era is no matter what is happening, no matter how much they are winning or how much power they get, they are always the victim.
Always.
And it is exhausting.
It is so exhausting.
They will never
He's
grow
right.
up.
Yeah,
They'll
someone
never
definitely
get
has a
better.
sickness for sure.
Yeah.
It's
Probably you greaseball.
he's gonna get people killed. MAGA hats are not a vaccine. And it won't protect you from an actual problem.
His political allies like Rush Limbaugh are trying to downplay it, say this is just the common cold, this is media hype. I mean, look, we all should just sort of be measured and try to be factual, but I don't think that mocking accurate reporting about a virus that could kill 2% of the world population if it goes to pandemic mode is overheated.
No, they're doing this because they want any questioning or scrutiny of their response to be seen as purely partisan and political in nature. That's what they're trying to say. And I think what Democrats have to remember is keep going. Don't criticize them for things that they don't need to be criticized for, but as this response unfolds, where there are gaps, where there are problems, where they have fucked up, we need to say so. And we need to hammer it right to Trump.
This is the job.
Yeah,
your job is to run the government in times of duress like this, and he is failing.
And by the way, this is what people are concerned about and have been most concerned about for the last several years, is that Trump's chaos and his tweeting and his just like inability to focus on anything and care about anything but himself is going to lead to broader disaster. And this is one of those cases.
Yeah, and look, and I think there's been this sort of sense like, wow, we Trump has not had to manage, a crisis on this scale. But
Puerto Rico is the biggest.
That's what I was about to say. I mean, the one example we have, or one of the examples we have, is Puerto Rico, and he mismanaged it, politicized it, treated those people
to this day,
day like objects of his own sort of personal animus.
American citizens.
And so, we know what Donald Trump will do in a crisis like this. I do think it is also incumbent upon Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren to demonstrate through this campaign the kind of leadership they will show in a moment of crisis like this.
Don't forget Mike Bloomberg's 3-minute ad on coronavirus last night.
Yeah. Boop, 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 boop. I think about 2008, Barack Obama runs on a campaign of change, of turning the page. But ultimately, I think one of the reasons Barack Obama was able to become president is not because of what defined the primary, but because outside of that messaging was a person people recognized as intelligent, serious, smart, capable, reliable, and up to the task of managing serious problems. And so when the financial crisis hits, people felt that they could put their faith in him. No one knows what's going to happen with coronavirus or any of the other potential problems that could happen between now and November, but it's incumbent upon our candidates to demonstrate by contrast just how much better a president they would be.